The toast caught me mid-bite. Here is to the attorney who spends his evenings working on another man's wife. Cassidy said it like she was commenting on the weather. Tuesday meatloaf, 18 years married, and she throws a grenade at the table. I have been imagining you, me, and Cole together, she added, carving her portion with clinical neatness. I invited him over so we can talk. The bell rang. Of course it did. I am Ethan Carter, 43, once a Golden Gloves hopeful, now an insurance adjuster who can smell a disaster seconds before it happens. The little smile building on Cassidy's lips told me I was sitting in the blast radius. That will be him, she said, blotting lipstick with the cloth napkin I had ironed that morning. Our daughter, Ava, did not lift her eyes from her phone. 17, and already a master of ignoring chaos. Smart kid. You invited him here, I asked, keeping my voice level even as heat gathered in my chest. To our house to discuss my ideas. Cassidy's green eyes glinted with something that wasn't love, and hadn't been for a long time. Do not be theatrical, Ethan. We are adults. The bell pressed again. Longer now. I stood. The chair squeaked over the hardwood I refinished 3 summers back when I still believed the work mattered to her. If he walks through that door, I said quietly, I will deal with him. Cassidy laughed. Actually laughed. You are possessive. It is 2023, not 1953. People are free to explore now. Mom. Gross, Ava muttered. Can I eat at Chloe's? Finish dinner, sweetie, Cassidy chirped. Then to me, are you going to answer, or should I? I marched to the door, hands knotted. Through frosted glass, I made out Cole's silhouette. Tall, lean, probably wearing one of those suits Cassidy overpraised. Cole Harrington, junior partner at Hartley and Vega. No relation to me, despite the universe's sense of humor. I pulled the door open. Hey, Ethan. His smile was worth billable hours. Cassidy asked me to stop by, brought a bottle. He lifted a label that likely cost more than what I bill in a day. I mind, I said. His grin slipped. Oh, well, maybe we could. I grabbed his silk tie, hauled him into the garage, and kicked the interior door shut. The big door was down. Privacy. My old heavy bag hung by the workbench where I built Ava's first bike. Let me make something clear, I said, backing him into the bench. Tools rattled. I do not care how many late nights you logged with my wife. I do not care about her fantasies. You are not walking into my house to haggle about touching my wife over pot roast. I lifted a crowbar. Not to swing, to underline. You look foolish right now, I added. His face drained. Ethan, there is a misunderstanding. The misunderstanding is Cassidy assuming I will sit quietly while she auditions you at my table. I tapped the bar against my palm. Here's what happens. You take your fancy wine and your fancy tie and get off my property. If I see you again, you will leave in a chair with wheels. Are we clear? The door to the house opened. Cassidy stood in the frame, hands on hips. What are you doing? Taking out the trash, I said without looking away. Cole tugged his tie straight. Maybe another time, Cassidy. There will not be another time, I said. You are ridiculous, Cassidy snapped. Cole is a colleague, a friend. Friends do not pitch bedroom scenarios during family dinner. I hit the opener. The door rumbled up. Our neighbor Marla collected mail across the street. She waved, then stared at the pavement. This is not over, Cassidy warned, as Cole hustled to his BMW. He peeled away. Amateur. You are pitiful, Cassidy said behind me. Maybe I will invite more friends next time. You want a war, Cassidy, I said, turning. You will get one. She smirked and walked inside, leaving me with my tools, my heavy bag, and the truth that our marriage was not dying. It was a cadaver I had been too proud to smell. My phone buzzed. Marla, everything all right? I texted back. just getting started. In the morning, Cassidy pretended nothing had happened. She sat at the island with coffee in the mug I gave her last Christmas. World's best wife. I got the joke. I'm thinking of redecorating the bedroom, she said. Something less masculine. Masculine. You mean the furniture I built? It is very rustic, she said, meeting my eyes. We need a change. Fresh air. Ava drifted in with earbuds and backpack, snagged toast, and headed for the door. Breakfast, I called. I will eat at school, she mumbled. Sit and eat with your family, Cassidy ordered. Ava paused, then looked between us. Are you two getting divorced? Silence hung like smoke. Cassidy held her cup. I kept scrambling eggs. Do not dramatize, Cassidy said. Your father and I are examining new dynamics. Gross, said Ava. Just say midlife crisis. After Ava left, Cassidy retreated to her office. She would claim it was for court prep. I knew it was to text Cole. The signs had been there. Late nights, new lingerie buried in drawers, whispers that cut off when I walked in. I should have called it sooner. Instead, I swallowed the lies because the truth would wreck the house I built. That night changed the math. The mask was off. I drove to Russo's gym, where I trained in my 20s before Cassidy convinced me that fighting was beneath me. The place still smelled like sweat, leather, and stubborn choices. Coach Russo worked the bag, still sharp north of 70. Well, look what the wind dragged in, he said, toweling his face. Ethan Carter. Thought you got too pretty for this place. Not too pretty for you, Coach. He studied me. Home trouble. I told him about the dinner, about Cole, about the rot. He listened with the patience of a man who has cornered fighters and watched marriages go to scorecards. Women who test you like that, he said, do not respect soft hands. You have played defense too long. Step forward. I threatened him with a crowbar. That counts as forward. He laughed. That was a warning. Real fights happen here. He tapped his temple. You are smarter than both of them. Use it. I hammered the bag until my shoulders burned and my head cleared. Every cross was Cassidy's smirk. Every hook, Cole's grin. By the finish, my knuckles were raw, and my thoughts were clean. When I got home, Cassidy had a new black dress on the bed. Expensive, cut to showcase what I had stopped praising. I will be late, she said at the mirror. Office party. Will Cole be there? Her hand twitched. Probably. He works there. Right. Silly me. Are you going to be strange about this? She asked. I will not tolerate jealousy. Would not dream of it. Have a great time. When the door clicked behind her, I did what I had never done. I went through her things. I am not proud. Desperation rarely is. In her nightstand, under legal briefs, a Marriott receipt. Room service for 2. Champagne and strawberries. Dated last Tuesday, the night she was buried under the Lowell file. My hands shook as I photographed it. 18 years, and I was building an evidence file like it was a claim. The real find was in her laptop bag. She had left email open. Months of messages with Cole. Not just work. Personal notes that turned my stomach. Cannot wait to feel you again. Read one. Ethan suspects nothing. He is too busy pretending to be a carpenter. Read another. The worst part was not the sex. It was how they wrote about me like I was a punchline. The dim husband who never sees the angles. I printed everything. Emails, message threads, receipts, statements. I stuffed it all into a manila folder and locked it in my toolbox. Cassidy crept in at 2 in the morning, smelling like wine and a man who was not me. She slid into bed. How was the party? I asked. Fine. Dull. Was Cole there? I do not remember. I was networking. Do you love me? She stiffened. That is complicated. No, it is simple. Silence. Finally, I love our life. I love our family. That is not what I asked. I am tired. Tomorrow. I already had my answer. Tomorrow, I would act. Her firm's mixer was Friday at a downtown place where the plates are tiny and the receipts are not. She made it clear I was not invited. It is a networking thing, honey. Russo disagreed. You go, he said after Mitt's work. Time to see what fight you are in. She does not want me there. Since when do you need permission to show up for your wife? He had a point. In the early years, I was on her arm at every event. Somewhere along the way, I became a liability she preferred to store at home. I put on the navy suit she picked 19 years ago for her graduation and drove into Burlington. Through the glass, I saw her near the bar, laughing while Cole whispered in her ear. The hostess tried to head me off. I breezed past. I am with Hartley and Vega. Cassidy paled when she saw me. Cole looked ready to bolt. What a surprise, Cassidy said with a smile that did not fit her face. I thought I would surprise my wife, I said, loud enough to tilt conversations. Hope you do not mind if I crash. Of course not, Cassidy said through her teeth. I ordered a whiskey, neat. The bartender's smirk suggested this was not his first front row seat to domestic theater. Make it a double. Cassidy appeared at my elbow. What are you doing? Supporting my spouse's career. What good husbands do? You are embarrassing yourself. Am I, or am I embarrassing you? Cole materialized. Up close, he was prettier than a magazine ad. Hey, Ethan, he said. Hand out. Glad you could make it. I looked at his hand. Cole? Still breathing. His smile tightened. Why do you not try the shrimp? Cassidy said. It is excellent. I am not hungry for shrimp, I said, eyes on Cole. Conversations around us quieted. Her boss, a silver-haired shark named Delgado, watched from across the room. I swirled the glass, took a step, and pretended to stumble. The drink went down Cole's crisp white shirt and suit jacket. Oh no, I said loudly. So clumsy. He jumped back, whiskey dripping from his chin. What is wrong with you? Honest mistake, I said, grabbing napkins and dabbing hard. He tried to push my hands away. I pressed harder. It is fine, he hissed. I will handle it. No, I insist. It is the least I can do. I raised my empty glass. Folks, a toast. Cassidy grabbed my arm. Ethan, stop! To Cole Harrington, junior partner and my wife's close colleague. May his courtroom performance outrun his performance in other arenas. Silence swallowed the room. Cole flushed. Cassidy blinked like she might faint. Here is to the man putting in all those late nights with my wife on briefs, really logging the hours. Delgado started toward us. And to my dear wife, Cassidy, a pioneer in novel legal strategies, sometimes with multiple parties. Cole lunged. Years of footwork carried me sideways. He crashed into the bar. Bottles rattled. The bartender cursed. Gentlemen, enough! Delgado barked. Security drifted our way. 2 large men in suits that pulled at the seams. They lifted Cole by his ruined jacket and steered him toward the exit. This is not over, he spat. It is, I said. Cassidy followed them, leaving me at the bar with a room full of attorneys studying their glasses. The bartender looked at me with something close to respect. Another double. Make it a triple. My phone buzzed. Ava. Dad, Mom's work party is all over Instagram. Are you okay? I glanced around at the faces that would carry this story across Vermont by morning. Cassidy's careful image had just cracked. I typed back. Never better. The fallout hit by Monday. Cassidy stopped talking to me. She moved into the guest room and sent messages through Ava, who hated being the courier. Mom says you need to apologize to Cole, Ava said over cereal. She can tell me herself, I said. She also says you are having a breakdown. What do you think? I asked. Ava studied me like a judge. I think she has been off for months, and you finally noticed. Cassidy emerged with dark circles and a messy ponytail. We need to talk. Now you want to talk. Not here, she said. flicking a glance at Ava. "Somewhere private." We ended up at a Route 7 diner, where we had our first date 20 years ago. We sat in a booth with cooling coffee between us. "You humiliated me," Cassidy said. "I humiliated you. That is rich, in front of my colleagues, my boss. Do you understand the damage to my career?" I unlocked my phone and slid it over. Photos of hotel receipts, screenshots of emails, statements from places I had never eaten. "Do you understand the damage to our marriage?" Her face cycled through surprise, anger, fear, then something like relief. "You went through my things. You left them open. Sloppy for a lawyer." She pushed the phone back without scrolling. "So what now? You want a divorce, do you?" Silence stretched. A trucker clinked silverware at the counter. An older couple shared pie. "I want you to fight for me," she said softly. "What?" "I've been waiting for you to notice, to care, to do more than fix sinks and pretend we are fine. So you cheated to get my attention. I cheated because I felt invisible. When did you last really look at me like I was more than a machine that cooks and organizes?" I wanted to argue, but the words stalled. Routines can become cages. "He makes me feel alive," she said. "He sees me as a woman. He sees you as a conquest. I read his emails. You are not the first. You will not be the last." Doubt flickered across her face. "At least he tries," she said. We sat in quiet. She reached over and touched my hand. "It does not have to end like this. Counseling. We could try." For a second, I almost believed her. Then I remembered her laugh when she invited him to dinner, the pity in her eyes when she called me possessive. "What about Cole?" "It is over. It has to be after the restaurant. Because you got caught or because it was wrong?" She pulled her hand back. "Does that matter?" "It does." She stared out the window at a young couple climbing into a dented Honda, laughing. "They looked like we used to." "I cannot promise it will not happen again," she said. "I cannot promise I will not get bored or lonely or stupid. I can promise to try. Not enough." "I want you out," I said. Her head snapped back. "What?" "Out of the house tonight." "Be reasonable. Where am I supposed to go? Maybe Cole has a spare room. You cannot kick me out of my own house." "I can. The deed is in my name. You were buried in school when we bought it and I signed. It was a low blow. 18 years had taught me exactly where to land them." "Fine," she said, jaw set. "I am taking Ava." "No. She is my daughter, too. She is 17. She can choose. Want to bet who she picks." We measured each other like opponents. "This is how you want to play it?" she asked. "You started this the night you invited your boyfriend to dinner. I am playing to win." She stood, threw $5 on the table and left. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You think you won, but you do not know what you started." Dolores, the waitress who had worked there since forever, topped off my cup. "Sounds like someone is mad at you, honey." "They are," I said. "And I am just getting started." Cassidy moved in with her best friend, Sienna, a social media manager who treated drama like oxygen and recorded everything. Sienna's downtown loft tried too hard. Exposed brick, industrial lighting, fancy chairs that hurt your back. I knew because Ava told me. Despite Cassidy's effort to recruit her, Ava chose to stay at the house. Friends were in our district, and she was done with her mother's theatrics. "Mom is being wild," Ava said one night over takeout. "She keeps crying and saying you wrecked her life. What do you think? She wrecked her life when she cheated." "I am not dumb." "I knew. You never said anything. Would it have mattered?" "Adults ignore kids on this stuff anyway," she said. "Are you okay?" She shrugged. "Are you going to date now?" "I have not thought about it." "Good. Wait until I graduate." "Deal." A rhythm returned. I worked claims and pretended the wreckage at home was containable. Ava went to school and brought updates on Cassidy's erratic swings. Somewhere across town, Cassidy and Cole were planning their next move. I did not wait long. Thursday night, I was in the garage wrenching on an old motorcycle when 3 cars rolled into the driveway. Cassidy's BMW, Cole's Audi, and a Toyota I did not recognize. Doors slammed. Voices rose. I wiped my hands and stepped outside. Cassidy led a small army. Cole. Sienna with her phone up. 2 women from the firm. They took positions on my lawn like a firing line. Cole stayed a step back. He remembered our previous meeting. "What is this, Cassidy?" I asked. "It is about you spreading lies and trying to end my career," she said. "I have not lied. Everything at the restaurant was true." Sienna moved forward, recording. "You attacked Cole. That is battery. We have witnesses. I spilled a drink. Accidents happen." "It was no accident," Cole said. "Prove it," I said. A redhead from the firm spoke. "Cassidy told us about your controlling ways, your threats, your refusal to let her explore." I almost laughed. "That I am controlling. That is the story." "Are you not?" Sienna said, still filming. "You threw her out of her own house and turned her kid against her. Her kid chose to stay. And it is my house." "That is not how marriage works," the redhead said. "Community property means little when one spouse commits adultery," I said. "I am sure Cassidy can explain the implications. She is the lawyer." Cassidy flushed. "You are vindictive. This is not about statutes. This is about right. You want right. Let us talk about honesty, commitment, respect, the things you promised." "People change," Cole said. "Cassidy has evolved beyond your narrow idea of marriage." I stepped toward him. "Evolved? Is that how you define another man's wife?" "No." "Let us be plain," Cassidy snapped. "Your boyfriend calls adultery evolution. I call it selfish." Sienna's eyes were lit up behind her screen. This would hit feeds within the hour. "We're trying to be reasonable," Cassidy said. "No. You are trying to bully me into accepting the unacceptable." "So what do you want?" Cole asked. I looked at each of them. Cassidy with her righteous mask, Cole with his smugness, Sienna with her lens, the others with judgment. "I want you off my property," I said. "We are not done," Cassidy said. "We are." I hit the garage button and watched them argue through the window before they finally left. Marla called. "You okay? Looked like a summit out there. Just Cassidy being theatrical. If you need anything, I have a bat and no patience for nonsense," she said. "Thank you," I said, and meant it. Cassidy had her squad of enablers. I had neighbors who still believed loyalty meant something. I would need them. The final showdown came at the annual charity gala for the Vermont Children's Hospital, an event Cassidy had crafted for months. She could not skip without shredding her image. I was not supposed to be there. My invitation had disappeared, according to Sienna, who handled publicity. Russo had a workaround. "My nephew owns the catering company," he said. "You are on security for the night." The gala filled the Burlington Harbor Hotel ballroom, where the local elite wrote large checks and congratulated themselves. I arrived early in a black suit with an earpiece that made me look official. Cassidy looked stunning in silver, holding court near the silent auction, playing the brave wife whose husband failed her. Cole hovered like private protection. Sienna prowled with her phone. Colleagues clustered around Cassidy, shooing away questions. I waited in the back. Hotel security knew I was extra staff, thanks to Russo's nephew. They didn't know my mission. At 9, the speeches started. Cassidy would close as committee chair. That was my cue. I found the AV tech, a bored college kid. "Emergency," I said, flashing a badge I printed at a copy shop. "We got a tip about malware. Need to check the projection laptop. He frowned, then handed it over. "Looks fine," he said. I plugged in a drive loaded with everything. Emails, photos, statements, receipts, the story in files. "Looks clean," I said, passing the machine back. False alarm. Cassidy stepped to the podium to generous applause. She shone under the lights and filled the room with practiced sincerity. "Thank you for being here. This cause is personal to me. When our daughter battled pneumonia 3 years ago, I saw how vital this place is." The crowd leaned in. "Family is everything," she said. "The bonds we build, the trust we keep." I triggered the deck. Screens around the room lit with her messages to Cole. Explicit plans, jokes at my expense, schedules for rendezvous. Gasps rippled. Cassidy froze. "Trust," I said from the rear, "is sacred. Break it and the structure fails." Heads turned as I walked the aisle. Security hesitated. They thought I was one of them. "For 18 years, I said into the room, I believed in the woman at that podium. I built her a home. I paid as she finished school. I raised her daughter and cheered her career. Screen switched to receipts and statements. Proof stacked up. And in return, she invited her lover to our table and suggested I participate." The room churned. Cassidy tried to speak. Nothing came. Cole pushed through bodies. Sienna filmed furiously. "This is harassment," someone shouted. "No. This is truth. This is what happens when patience is misread as stupidity." I climbed the stage. Cassidy backed away from the mic, silver dress glittering. "You wanted to be seen as a victim," I said, taking the microphone. "The wife whose husband could not handle her liberation. Victims do not lie, cheat, and manipulate. Victims do not burn families for a thrill." The screens showed photos outside Cole's building. Cassidy's car parked overnight. The two of them kissing in the lobby. A timeline that wrote itself. "Here is the truth," I said. "My wife is an adulterer. Her lover targets married women. Her friends enable and call it empowerment." Cole reached me, red-faced. He swung. I caught his wrist, turned his arm, and put him on his knees in front of 300 donors. "Bullies pick fights they think they can win," I said into the mic. "Sometimes they miscalculate." Security finally closed in, unsure. I released Cole. He scrambled away. Cassidy cried, mascara tracking down her cheeks, while the screens kept rolling. "Please continue to support the hospital," I said. "They do work that matters. They should not pay for one person's choices." I handed the mic back and walked off. No one stopped me. There was nothing left to stop. At the exit, I turned. Cassidy clung to the podium, trying to find footing in the rubble of her image. Cole vanished. Sienna and the others wrapped around Cassidy, their comfort thin. Donors drifted out, already telling the story that would travel the state by morning. My phone buzzed. "Ava." "Dad, this is everywhere already. Are you okay?" "Never better," I typed. "I will be home soon." I crossed the lot, feeling something I had not felt in months. Quiet inside my ribs. The war was done. I did not win with fists. I won with light. Cassidy chose a public stage for betrayal. I gave her a public stage for truth. They wanted a villain. I gave them a show. I drove home through quiet streets, steady hands on the wheel, the calm inside finally matching the night outside. Whatever filings or fallout waited would be handled with the same clarity. The chapter was closed,